Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Uranium Energy. It is time for another update, and today we only focus here within the smaller time frame on this diagonal structure we have been tracking for quite a while already, because ever since we started covering this chart we were still within this structure to the upside. We were looking for this to extend still to lower prices within our correction before extending in a wave 3 to the upside, which we have within a slightly different count, but we have followed along very nicely this structure. And as of late we have been looking for this fifth wave to develop, for which we had this high probability accumulation area at the levels between the $13.7 all the way down to the $9 level, and we have provided this area of accumulation ever since we topped within this wave 3, and we have been looking for the 3-wave correction to bottom and create the reversal to the upside within this wave 5. Now, since within this structure we have been preferring this idea of a diagonal to be unfolding in this area, and I believe it to be the only likely option really, we have been looking for an A, B, C structure to develop to complete the structure, and thus completing a larger wave 1 or potentially a larger wave C within a much bigger structure. But in either case, within this fifth wave we have been tracking the idea of an A, B, C pattern to unfold, and within this wave C we have been preferring that we actually form another high, here in this green structure wave C, and we have provided this area of support that extended all the way down to the $14.2 level. At this point we are still holding it, but it has come under heavy questioning due to the internal pattern of this correction, or rather of this supposed correction, as we have initially formed a 5-wave pattern, then we have extended to the downside within yet another 5-wave pattern, and it's just been suggested over and over to us that we need to break relevant levels of resistance, difficult ones even, that unless broken, or until broken, would strongly signal that we should expect continuation to even lower prices. Now, this hasn't happened yet. We still have the areas of resistance still very much present, and we have been tracking, for example, this yellow structure for a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. A couple of ways we could be tracking this really. Then we would have here this area of resistance at the levels between the $16.4 all the way up to the $18.9. This has been reached, but it hasn't been broken, so there is still a lot of pressure from this pattern alone to push within at least another 5-wave move to the downside in this area. And then we even have this orange area of resistance within an internal potential 1-2 setup in this area. It extended all the way up to the $16.7, and we have basically pushed a couple of times into this last level of resistance, but we got rejected both times, creating an even more substantial push to the downside. Now, in the previous video, I have provided you this area of support in white that would allow us to still look for continuation to higher prices. We have been even identifying an initial 5-wave move to the upside within this area, and we have been looking for a 3-wave correction into the area of support down to the $14.85 level. The thing is, with this broken, it would strongly suggest that we will likely break the area of support in green as well. Not necessary, but it's just a rather higher likelihood that we will break the area of support in green as well if we don't manage to create the reversal from these prices. And we have already broken it within the 1-hour time frame a couple of times already. Now, sure, within the 1-hour time frame, it has only been broken one time and it closed below this area of support, but it is indeed looking very shabby in this supposed WXY correction that I would need to consider in this white interpretation that would allow it to extend to higher prices still. And even then, it will be expected to have difficulties, and at this point, we need to be strongly prepared that this structure will fail in creating our additional high within this wave 5. This is probably my preferred interpretation at the moment. The area of support in green still holds, technically even the white area of support still holds, but it is being suggested to me by the current structure developments that this will not succeed in creating the next wave to the upside. So it really comes into question, why aren't we getting a full count within this area, or how are we going to get a full count within this area? And it comes down to the fact that we would be within a fifth wave of a wave C, of a fifth wave of potentially, in certain cases, a much larger significant uptrend top we are tracking, yeah, a wave C of an even larger fifth wave, or within, let's say, a larger wave 1 to the upside. In either case, this has been a substantial uptrend, and it does happen that we do not get the last wave to the upside. It happens, and we would need to consider that this would be complete as an ABC structure already, even though we do lack the clear 5-wave pattern in what we are tracking here as a wave 3. Yeah, it is actually quite difficult to identify a 5-wave pattern even in a diagonal in this area, but we might even be able to consider this to be a truncation instead, where, yeah, we need to assume it able to have a top in place. In fact, we even reached the $20 level, and anyone who has used this area of support in white, which we have regarded as a highly interesting accumulation area, as a high probability area, would still be in profits even at this point, even after dropping over 25% from the top to the current prices. We have bottomed around the $10 level, we have pushed above the $20 level, we have done a 2x return, which is already great. We would still be in 50% profits for any position we accumulated within this bottom of the wave 4. And we were even extremely accurate in estimating where this bottom in the wave 4 was expected to be formed. We actually got quite a nice structure within this correction, which strongly suggested when a bottom was available, when a full count was applicable within this area of support in white. Now, there are other alternatives that, even with a top in an ABC structure here, would still allow extensions, part of this fifth wave to the upside, yeah, we would still be able to look for higher prices. It's just that we haven't been focusing on them and we haven't been covering them because they're just not high probability structures. There's no point in tracking any count if we will just provide area of support over area of support, no matter how likely the structure is to play out. We have provided this large area of support in white. Of course, we have been focusing on this, but we didn't provide alternatives for a continuation to higher prices below the $9 level, because we wanted clear levels where the probabilities shift to a less likely interpretation. And if you want to get access to our monthly top picks where we identify for you those high quality structures, you can check out our channel newsletter. The link for sign up is in the description and it is completely free. We will pick for you the stocks that have these high quality structures with clear levels of invalidation, and we already have a great list for this week when we send out our first mail, and you can then follow them along with us on YouTube, where we will provide even more details and follow along these structures and these developments. But the list is for you to be able to select the videos for these high quality structures that I handpick for you. And let's go back to the chart. So another interpretation that could technically work out within the assumption that this is an ABC structure, as it could be complete within the wave 5. Remember, we are only looking for an ABC structure, but at the same time, an ABC structure in this area could be just a wave A, a large wave B could occur, and then a wave C could theoretically take us to even higher prices. But this is towards the end of a very substantial uptrend, and it's not going to provide by itself a high probability area of support or a high probability reversal area. So instead, we will be tracking this area between the $15.5 all the way down to the $11.7 as a zone where we might form a bottom. Sure, we create here whatever pattern, doesn't even matter, and we look for the initial 5-wave move to the upside, because extensions are possible, and if we create an initial 5-wave move to the upside within a smaller or a larger time frame, we would be able to look for a potential 1-2 setup. That would be able to provide us acceptable opportunities combined with risk management and with potential, and we will be able to look for positions within such structures. But unless this happens, I believe the risk is quite extreme at this point. We are still at very, very high prices for this stock. Yeah, it hasn't really been here before, right? We are just trading, consolidating at extremely high levels, and a correction that is much more severe than has really happened so far in this area, even though these look quite severe as well. If we look in terms of a retracement, yeah, we dropped 40% within this wave 4. We could be looking to drop 60-70% within a supposed wave 2 in this structure, potentially much more if this is one of our other interpretations, which would mark an even more substantial top in this push to the upside. So the risk is substantial, and we need some confirmations and some indications for something more bullish to be going on outside of this current green interpretation that, again, technically could still work out. Realistically, I have my doubts already, and I will provide you an internal area of resistance to track. But before, I want to remove this larger area of support in white for this idea of an ABC, because this will really only be our alternative, our shift, once we break the green area of support, and it's not going to be a high focus for us. Again, it's not a reliable structure to track for continuation to higher prices. Now, internally, I'm looking for this to potentially form a bottom still within this white area of support, of course. But for that, I need to see a break above the relevant resistance levels, where I could be looking to form an initial 5-way move to the downside within this area. So for this idea, I would be focusing and I would be tracking the levels of resistance. And let's track this in orange, why not? Between the $15 all the way up to the $15.7. So for me, the break above the 61.8% retracement here is actually quite important, because while this might form a 5-way move to the downside within a leading diagonal, until it does and it breaks in a more substantial manner, this 78.6% retracement, it can be still salvaged. But I tell you what I told you in the previous video. The break below the 78.6% retracement in white is a rather big warning sign that this green structure is going to fail as well. And right now we see already a few candles below it within the smaller time frames. It's really, really not a good sign. And I consider this to be a substantial risk even at this point. Now, if we are to track here, let's say an internal ABC structure within this area, I could provide you an ideal target. And while I do this, I want to mention many interpretations could work out within this structure. It's within an extremely small time frame, so don't get stuck on this idea for continuation to lower prices within a wave 5 in a leading diagonal. Something much more bearish could be going on, but for me, the break above the 61.8% retracement at the $15.7 would help substantially. That is why I'm focusing on this area of resistance and not something else, because if we break other levels of resistance that could allow something more bearish to be going on, this idea would still allow extensions and it would still put a lot of pressure. And here, the ideal target is the 100% extension of the wave A, the $15.3 level, in line with the 38.2% retracement in this orange structure. And for now, I don't want to clutter up this area too much, and I hope you listened when I gave you the warnings for the overall structure. It is looking less and less likely that we will get here this 50 to the upside. Again, technically could still work out. How likely is it? Well, I'm becoming more doubtful already. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content, don't forget to check out our channel membership, the link is in the description, or you can even click the join button. It really helps us out a lot. And other than this, let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.